Hi, everyone. Are you guys having a great morning? Yeah? All right, so today, what we're just going to be covering a bit is what we've been up to in AI over the past, I'd say, 12 to 18 months, like what we've been seeing, what we've been hearing from our clients, what we've been seeing in our research from the markets, and then how we've designed our offerings around all of this. So, there's not a day that goes by where we don't think about AI, where we don't use AI, where we just need it. It's become so deeply embedded into everything that we do. One night, it kept me up. I was just like, what will happen if ChatGPT or Copilot or something went down? So I did what anybody would do. I asked ChatGPT, and the output was, it will erase over 2,000 years of human work will disappear if it went down for 24 hours. So it's so imperative, but still so many organizations are unable to harness it. They don't know where to start, and that's where we come in, to help them understand the art of the possible. So I'm just kind of going to get into what we're doing here with that. Oops. So we're helping clients envision what they can do, what's the art of the possible, and how they move from experimentation to transformation. So these are the 4 things that we're focusing on. So of course, AI strategy and roadmap, like helping them prioritize, identify their use cases, solution design and integration, so tailoring to their needs and integrating it within their workflows, of course, governance, and then the AI maturity assessment, where we're helping them evaluate their current AI capabilities and benchmark it against their peers. So just a little bit about that. So this is how, just to anchor our data in this assessment, and this is something that we've launched in the past quarter. We've been collecting a lot of data, so it's going to help benchmark their current level of AI investments against peers, identify strengths, gaps, and align their investments more closely with enterprise goals and priorities, and just helping them build a foundation for a sustainable AI roadmap. And some of the things that we've been seeing that comes through from that one is, like most respondents, they are falling within the aspirational or emerging stage. So they've started pilots, but they've not scaled it effectively. We're seeing that a lot of respondents have identified AI use cases, but fewer have formally prioritized them. 2 out of 3 organizations, they are still stuck in that pilot phase with very few reporting enterprise-wide scaling. And then we're also seeing a lot of challenges on the data readiness aspect, and getting their data ready. It's still siloed, and it's a top barrier to AI adoption. So with that context, I'll bring in our panel. We have Shobit and Ruth. So I'll ask you guys to just introduce yourselves, and as you do that, please share what are the top 2 to 3 AI asks that you're hearing about most in your current engagement. So that will set us up to talk about how providers can meet this demand and where the near-term opportunities are.
So I'm Ruth Steinberg. I'm a partner at Avasant. I've been here about 2 years, come with a lot of history starting in the mid-'80s. I am the ERP practice lead, so my bias tends toward the product side and the enterprise solutions type efforts. And so some of the things that we're seeing really center on how to leverage the capabilities of the tools that our clients have in-house already. So finding the AI capabilities within SAP or within Salesforce or within Workday, and figuring out ways to leverage those for immediate quick wins. That's probably the biggest thing that we see right now.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Shobit Patnaik, partner with Avasant. I lead the business transformation practice here at Avasant and been with Avasant for over 15 years. I think one of the things that we are seeing, again, from a demand perspective, is definitely on the core business side, right? There is a huge amount of demand, not only in the back office areas, not just in the middle office functions. The size of the demand actually is huge in the core operation. So if you look at manufacturing, how do you automate manufacturing? How do you automate supply chain? Use AI in all of those areas. versus just looking at AI in the technology or the finance and accounting or the HR space. I think that's what definitely is driving the demand. The other thing that we are also seeing is the demand is not necessarily just a tool or a platform. I think the demand is more around building the capability as well. What we are seeing in clients is they are not necessarily looking at providers and partners like you to just give them a solution to a problem, but they are asking you to help them build that capability so that they can solve problems by themselves in the future. So I think that's one of the key areas of demand that we are seeing from our clients as well.
Well, thank you. So, Ruth, just kind of coming back to like some of the platforms that you've touched upon, right? So most clients, they want to start with these commercial off-the-shelf AI, features and co-pilots that they already own. So we know quick wins are great, but the hard part is stitching multiple engines into one enterprise workforce. So where do you start, and what's the fastest path that you're seeing from a platform feature pilot to production?
So this is, of course, the good consulting answer of it depends, because some of the question is answered by who initiated the AI request, right? Was it a CEO sitting on an airplane that was reading a magazine and came back and said, we got to do this, like everybody's doing this, we got to do this, and they're pushing it down? Or is it the IT folks that are coming along and saying, hey, there's this new stuff we're playing with? Or is it the line of business folks? So we're seeing any one of the three of those stakeholder groups could potentially be the source. Now, depending on who the source is, you then have to go to how do you then operationalize it, scale it up and operationalize it at an enterprise level. Usually we're seeing the CIOs working on the integration layers between the applications so that once the AI capabilities within the apps are kind of up and running and a little bit adopted, it then becomes a question of how do you go across the applications. And that's accomplished either through the data integration or operational integrations.
Okay, and well, just coming back to like the different levels of these C-suites. So when we ran our maturity assessment, we got that only about 35 said that AI is actively sponsored at that C-suite level. So both you show, but like basically from the buyer's seat, which stakeholders are getting involved early? Is it risk, data owners, procurement? How do you get them comfortable, and then what should our providers bring to that first meeting?
Sorry, I thought it was you. So I think one of the things to consider is how do you measure the success of an AI program? Right? So the measure of success, it's very, very difficult, right? In the context of an internal operational procedure, like if we're going to roll out Microsoft Copilot, you measure success through adoption. How many people are using it? How often are they using it? What are the kinds of things they're doing with it? Because there's not a direct operational impact that you can then measure because every individual is going to use it slightly differently. When it comes to, let's say, a business process, an account payables process or something like that, it becomes much easier to measure then and then continue to build on that and grow the momentum of, we got this working, we reduced this amount, now we can go to the next process.
Yeah, and I think just to add on the leadership sponsorship towards AI initiatives, I think some of the conversations that I've had, especially in the BFSI vertical, there is a clear mandate from the leadership to use, even in the IT areas, to use AI for at least 50% of coding. So for instance, and they are being measured, so how much coding is done manually versus how much is being done through AI. And that's a strong mandate that has been brought down from the top, building that culture of using AI to the best possible extent. And I think coming back to that measurement, I think that's how they're measuring it. It becomes very easy from a measurement perspective, which is the usage, and also in the business process side, they're tracking. Even the commercial models are actually changing towards helping organizations really adopt AI a lot better. So how much invoices are getting straight through processed using AI versus not using AI, for instance. How much of auto rerouting is happening? How much queries are getting auto resolved? How much contact center work is being taken away by AI agents? So they're measuring all of that, which makes it a lot more real, and that is now feeding back the loop, which drives the sponsorship from leadership again.
Okay. One of the things that we are seeing, I have a client I'm working with who came to us and asked us, not to help them actually build the AI models or not help them develop use cases, but help them assess what the impact of AI was going to be on their organization, right? What is it going to do to your IT organization, but what is it going to do to finance? In this case, it was loan origination. What's it going to do to the loan process? What's it going to do to all of these other processes? Because that's the part they need as the input to the business case to make these investments operationally work all the way across the board at an enterprise level. And so one of the things that we're focusing on is how do you determine what the benefits of AI are going to be on each of these business processes across the board? And that then helps them build their business case around it.
Yeah, and I think that just ties it into imagining the art of the possible, because I think clients have been very honest that we know we have to do something, but just help us figure out what to do and how to get there. So Shobha, just coming back on the commercial side, right? How are buyers asking you to structure the work so that it feels safe and familiar and outcomes oriented?
Yeah, I think you kind of answered the question as well with being outcome oriented. I think that's what is the way that commercially most successful deals can be made using AI. Having said that, not all of them can be done through an outcome-based model. It depends on what you're trying to do or what you're trying to solve for your customer. I think there are various pricing models. We have seen pricing model based on usage. For instance, how much are you using the AI tool? There are models around subscription. You subscribe to a solution. There are pricing models which are now integrated into a transaction-based pricing, for example, coming back to a simple AP kind of an environment. So instead of pricing an AI tool separately, which becomes more of an expense and customers look at it with scrutiny, you kind of embed that into the transaction pricing as well. So now processing an invoice is going to cost $2 or $2.50 instead of $3 or $3.50 that it used to cost. So AI is there, it's being priced, but it is now part of the transaction. And finally, the fourth one is more outcome-based. So that's the most easily adopted or loved model by procurement teams, at least, where you can really create an outcome-based pricing model on some of the AI investments. So clients don't want to necessarily do that upfront payment. So the more you are able to build that up as an OpEx model into the deal structure is what will make this flow smoothly across negotiations and then also through the outcomes.
Another example, we just did an assessment for a client of ours on their contract, and this contract was let before AI became a thing, right? It became something that we could reliably count on to actually reduce cost of sale or reduce cost of delivery, and so it was interesting because the provider had not come to the client and said, hey, we could do these things for you and we could share the costs. And I think ultimately the clients are really looking for their partners to be doing that. Even in legacy contracts where there's not necessarily AI clauses and there's not necessarily an assumption of reduced cost per RU or reduced cost per line item over the time of the contract, they are looking for innovation and they are looking for ways to actually improve their lives. And so it would be great, incumbent on you all, to start thinking about that for those legacy contracts, even if it's not built in, because that's the way you win the renewals, right? In this situation, we came in, we did our assessment, and we looked around and said, hey, they haven't come back and asked for any of these things or said any of these things. It doesn't position the incumbent as the best potential provider for the future. Right? So building those relationships by bringing that innovation, I mean, you all know this already. It's just yet another opportunity. And this is one because the deltas are so large that sharing the benefits with the client go a long way.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we also see, and this is a real example from just a few weeks back when we were doing a relationship assessment between a client and a vendor. And we did ask questions around, is the vendor or the partner not bringing in AI or new tools or technologies to transform your operations? I think the answer there was yes, they are, and there's a charge to it. what we've realized, and this is the client saying, is we can do it cheaper. So now the competition is not necessarily a vendor versus vendor B versus vendor C. It is between the internal teams as well as, can I do it myself cheaper than buying something or getting a provider to build something for me. So I think that's becoming a real conversation where with technology solutions becoming available a lot more easier. It is not just a question of which vendor it is. Am I doing it, or do I really need a vendor to do it?
Yeah, and I'm seeing that a lot as well. I'm seeing a lot of the clients saying, I can deliver this on my own. I don't necessarily need a partner, which is really different than what we were talking about 12 months ago. Very different than what we were talking about 12 months ago.
To bring that to our audience and touching on both what you were saying. So for our providers here, what are they doing well and what can they do better on?
So I would say bring that innovation. Don't worry about what the contract says. The clients are looking for partnership. They mostly don't know what to do. Sometimes they don't know what to do on the tech side. Sometimes they don't know what to do on the change management side or the adoption side. But bring your best thought leaders and just help your clients, because that's the relationship building. We're all in this phase. I mean, I remember back in the 80s when the ERPs were first coming in, and we had plenty of clients that were still building accounting systems. And it just took years for people to get comfortable with the idea that they could go outside and do that. And I think that's kind of a parallel track we're on.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think what all of you are actually doing very well from a provider community is initiating the conversation. So everybody is talking about AI across all levels. I think that's a good thing. Second thing that we are seeing a lot more is industry-specific solutions that you're bringing. I think that is going to take a long way, because you have the capability. You have seen various industries, some of the business processes. So to the previous panel as well, when verticalization was, I think Henry was bringing that point up. I think that's going to be very important, having that vertical expertise and talking about that to your customer at the right level. I think what is not going as well or can go a little bit better is, I think that ties back to our maturity assessment that we did, is what do you pitch to a client? And that needs to be based on what level of maturity they are. So you pitching an AI solution or bringing all the shiny new things to them where they don't have a good control of data doesn't make sense. So understanding the client context, their maturity, do they have the right policies, do they have the right governance framework? Because a lot of tools and technologies and AI initiatives the vendors try to bring to a client does not get fulfilled because the client is not ready. So how do you pitch the right thing at the right time is going to be very important to make this work for everybody.
Agreed.
So is that something that they're over-promising on, you're seeing?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of an over-promise because they did not take into consideration the current maturity. So you can't say, you will get 30% productivity in year 2, because there is a lot of work that needs to happen before they can get there. So I think not just over-promising, but laying out all the cards properly is going to be very important so that they understand when the benefit will come and what the investment is required.
Okay. Well, any questions? I'm just joking. We're not taking questions. Everyone, thank you so much. This brings us to the end of our session, and we look forward to connecting with you later.
Thank you.